this is Vivica from the Nourished Caveman and the Healing Foods Method. For those of you who don't know me, I am a keto nutritionist specializing in rebalancing hormones. And today I have just arrived back in Southern California from a 9-hour drive. And it's really funny because here it's about 100 degrees and I am going to talk about the topic of flu season. It seems like we're in the middle of summer here. As you can see, I'm all sweaty, and today we got to talk about the flu. But still, it's not everywhere is California, and not everywhere is as hot as here. And even here, we get viruses which get more and more aggressive every year with the use of antibiotics. So it's very important, I think, to start addressing this topic. Let me move a pillow and get you prepared for what is coming for the winter months. How can we prepare ourselves for the coming winter months in the best possible way so that we don't get sick as much, and our kids. So first of all, thank you everybody for being here with me again today. I am just trying to get everything ready before we jump into the conversation and thank you for watching. Please feel free to say hello and tell me where you're watching from. And yeah, let's have this as a conversation. I love your questions. This is a Q&A. And so I'm going to present topics to you, but please feel free to ask questions. Let's make this a conversation. And also, please tag somebody who might be interested in the topic. This video will be posted on YouTube later. And also it will be available on Facebook for you. So you can continue asking questions below, and you can share it with your friends who you think might benefit from the content. Hi, Susan. How's New York? Is it a little cooler than crazy Southern California on almost November day? 100 degrees today, guys. It's crazy. So let's talk about flu and flu season. I want to touch on the topic of antibacterials. I want to touch on the topic of immunity. And I want to touch on the topic of herbal support, or like what you can do to support your body to get ready. First of all, let's just get the big elephant out of the room. I want to share with you my view on flu shots. This is kind of a hot and controversial topic, kind of going along with the topic of vaccines. I know that there is always, whenever I post something about vaccinations, there is a very heated discussion here on the page. So I know that there are very strong opinions when it comes to vaccinations, and I feel like the flu shot is kind of like on the edges, on the fringes of that conversation. Should we get vaccinated against the flu, yes or no? I will tell you right away why I'm against flu shots, and then we'll talk about viable options. Of course, this is all within the conversation of you maintaining your optimal health with a ketogenic diet, and hopefully a therapeutic ketogenic diet, but also with the sound foundation of nutrition and nutrition principles. I'll be drinking a lot of water, sorry, but it's super hot and my mouth will get dry. So the flu shot is a vaccine, and just like a lot of vaccines, is prepared in a way that is optimized to preserve the contents of this vaccine and to make them viable but also convenient with a series of ingredients that are not ideal for your body. So sometimes the problem with vaccinations is not in the concept of vaccine, the active ingredient itself, which is the virus, but in what this shot contains as a medium, as a carrier for that active component. If you get, a little bit into doing your research, and you will actually go and get the ingredients of the individual vaccine that you want to receive, including the flu shot, you will find that most of them are less than ideal. a lot have been cleaned up. They used to contain mercury or heavy metals or aluminum as a preservative. They still might contain formaldehyde as a preservative. That is a very toxic ingredient. And if like one of the least harmful is like peanut oil. So what happens when something like peanut oil gets injected into your bloodstream? Well, you will develop a antibody to that antigen that doesn't belong in your bloodstream because it's a protein, and causing an allergy. Why do you think so many children, sorry, kick the table, so many children these days have deathly allergies? Let me move this table. To peanuts. It's because they've been injected with peanut oil as the content of their vaccinations. So if you decide to get a flu shot, read the ingredients before. You might decide against it after you do so. I would be very, very careful in injecting any chemical derivative, lab-made substance, artificial, like things that don't belong into my bloodstream, and just get it injected straight into my blood, into my muscles. So do your research, and I think there are so many viable alternatives than getting a flu shot, and that's what I want to talk to you right now. My comments are not coming up. Thank you, Susan. And if you do decide, there are also, read statistics. Today I was driving, so I'm sorry I'm not bringing you the same amount of information as I usually do with numbers and statistics, but do it for yourself. Look at statistics that actually prove efficiency or efficacy of the flu shot, and look at the clinical studies and research, because they are not as effective as we think they are. Viruses are very intelligent kind of life forms that mutate extremely fast. So by the time a vaccine is being created and sent out, the virus has already had the opportunity to mutate 10 times. So even if you got a flu shot, the flu virus might have been already at the third generation past that vaccine. So you're injecting something into your body that is actually going to make you sick, because you will get the flu, you will get that virus, you'll get sick with it. And that's the idea, to make you sick so you can create your own antibodies to that particular virus. But if the virus has already changed and whatever you will be exposed to is different, then the vaccine has absolutely no use. So instead of creating resistance, you're just making yourself sick. Plus, you're lowering your immunity through the injection of nasty chemicals that should not be in your body. So what are better ways instead to have a good, strong immune system, to boost your immune system for this flu season? Well, you keto ladies that are for most of my audience, I'm very proud to be talking to the keto ladies. Any keto ladies in the audience? Come on, you can chime in and say hi. But you're already doing the very number one thing to boost your immunity, which is cutting out sugar. Sugar has a proven effect that within 5 minutes of the ingestion of anything around a gram of sugar, there is about a 5% to 15% reduction of your immune response. So sugar is actively an immunosuppressant. It suppresses the ability of our immune system to respond to invaders. So first thing we want to do going towards fall and winter is completely eliminate sugars. And even, if in summer, following the season, we might have enjoyed a little bit more fruit, a little bit more carbs as part of our keto paleo lifestyle, especially for us women, we, benefit from carb cycling after we have been adapted for a while. And I will talk more specifically, I think it's next week, that we'll talk about life after keto. So we'll talk about doing keto for long periods of time and carb cycling and how to incorporate carbs and all that good stuff. But for all of you ladies and for everybody who's been doing keto and being a little more lenient with your carbs in summer, now is the time to buckle down and really go back into higher ketosis as you come towards fall, because that lack of sugar is really going to boost your immunity. The other big part of our immune system, the biggest part of our immune system is actually residing in the gut. So the other big part of immune support is supporting our gut health. And this is something that is quite individual. I can give you some general guidelines, but something that I want to communicate with you, my audience, thank you for following me and watching me, is that our guts are individual, and the care of our gut is also sometimes very individual from person to person. Even though you might listen to a lot of different experts on the internet, the microbiome is a big topic of discussion these days. So you find podcasts and videos just on YouTube, probably like 5 million videos just talking about gut health. Remember that the gut is as individual as your fingerprint. So your microbiome might be very different than your sister's microbiome or your best friend's. Even though your family might be similar, but you still have individual footprint or fingerprint of your gut. So how do we support the gut? You kind of have to go by these like general staple rules, like eating for your microbiome. For those of you who have a healthy gut, grew up with a healthy gut, never had a large use of antibiotics, and never had heavy metal toxicity or chemical toxicity, or been exposed to glyphosates, which is the big thing right now, that is like the gut killer, I call it. It really kills your microbiome. So if you have not been exposed to those things, which is almost impossible these days, but your gut is relatively healthy, then you know that you can tolerate fiber well, and you can tolerate probiotics well. You have never had SIBO or any other kinds of gut infections. So I would recommend eat lots of fermented foods like sauerkraut. Kimchi is one of my favorite because it contains fermented garlic and onion, which are also antibacterial and antiviral, and it contains fermented ginger, which is another great plant for that. So a lot of probiotics, good amounts of fiber. If you're doing keto, like keto paleo, then you will eat a lot of greens, bitter herbs, and your ferments. If you are on the other category, though, that, excuse my sweaty face, this is live video, you have gut damage. So you have suffered from conditions like IBS, or you might have had Crohn's disease, or what's the other one? Oh, cystic colitis. I'm sorry, tired brain today. Or just like chronic constipation or chronic loose stools and diarrhea, then we know that something is up with your gut, and your intestinal health, your microbiome health is not ideal. Or if you had SIBO is big nowadays, and I feel that all of these different kind of gut conditions are coming from not that many general root causes. A really big one is overuse of antibiotics. So think about it, we're going into flu season where people get sick and then they get prescribed antibiotics, even preventative. So, I don't really want to say what I think about that, but I don't think it's ideal. Preventative antibiotics should not be given, especially to people who have problems with their health of their gut. You might, in this case, it was the use of antibiotics and heavy metal toxicity. You might have had an intoxication of mercury or aluminum or lead, and it could have been diagnosed or not. And also glyphosates, an intoxication with pesticides, Monsanto, it's Roundup, it's sprayed everywhere. And now it's coming up, if you do your research again and just Google glyphosate Roundup intoxication, you see that there are being million and billion-dollar lawsuits against Bayer for glyphosate intoxication, which, by the way, I don't know if you know, guys, but glyphosate is not only a pesticide, it's actually an antibiotic. And the reason how it works is it destroys the inner organism of the pest that it's trying to kill, or the herbs, the plants. So it destroys your gut flora. That's what it does. There are some really cool videos about glyphosates. I can post some in the links later. I strongly recommend doing your research. How does this tie to the flu, you will ask? If you just jumped in watching, it's like, what does glyphosate have to do with the flu? Well, it destroys your gut health, which destroys your immunity, which then makes you even more susceptible to foreign invaders like viruses, like the flu virus. So for those of you who have gut problems, I would strongly recommend to, again, focus on gut health first, so that you can build up that immunity. You might not be able to tolerate fiber or even probiotics if your gut is seriously impaired. I would recommend to, like, for your long-term health, work with a practitioner. I always think that starting with a good dose of a good probiotic, so kind of like a acute dose, I call it, is like a flush of probiotics that you do at the beginning of a season, should mostly help your gut health, unless you have specific conditions like SIBO. Then you might want to really check in with your practitioner for that. So gut health for immunity, lowering sugar for immunity, and of course eating nutrient-dense foods. My latest favorite, I think you guys have seen it, I mention it all the time, it's cod liver, which is in cod liver oil, and it's very high in vitamin A and vitamin D. It's almost pure fat and protein, no carbs. It's a great little snack. You buy it on Amazon. I'm going to post a link. This is something that will build up your immunity and resilience. Other superfoods, as you know, for me, superfoods are animal-based most of the time. So bone broth, liver. There is, in the carnivore movement, the carnivore diet is coming up really strong. And luckily, there is a lot of talk of eating organ meats. And the organ meats are coming back into the kind of mass awareness of people as a very valuable, like the real superfood that we need to eat. So starting to prepare for winter as the weather cools down, you know, making yourself really nutrient dense and also comforting foods for the cold weather, like soups based on really good organic bone broth. I love to make bone broth and then put just ground beef in it and cook it quickly into the bone broth and mix the marrow into that soup. And sometimes I let it come to room temperature and then add kimchi into it, because you don't want to cook your kimchi and kill all the good bacteria. But if it comes to about room temperature, then you can put kimchi in that and have a whole kind of soup pot. And especially if I know that I'm getting sick, that's kind of like my magic cure-it-all. So supporting your gut and your immune system. Now, the problem with antibacterial, so when flu season comes, everybody is, how do I deal with the vegans? Sorry to interrupt, Susan. Thank you for the question. I don't deal with the vegans. I let them do their thing, and you know, luckily they don't bug me so much anymore. There was a moment where the vegans kind of came into my page, but I sometimes strategically post controversial posts and they don't like it and they just leave. You know, I feel that everybody is entitled to their way, their ideas, their beliefs. even though they might not be the best for the planet. And it's kind of funny because the vegans tout to be the saviors of the planet, where in reality they're just unconsciously or not knowingly support the big corporation agenda, the GMO agenda, the glyphosate agenda, because it's really hard to have those giant monocultures without using petroleum-based chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers. So I don't think that's very planet friendly. I think that having cows on pasture that actually fertilize the ground with organic cow poop is a lot more planet friendly. I do not subscribe to feedlots. And my problem with the beef industry is how that is managed, because if the cows, the animals were pastured and properly managed with rotational grazing, there would not be any pollution, CO2 pollution. Anyways, I think we kind of hijacked the topic here. Thank you for the question though, Susan. I can go on that one for a minute. So we were talking about antibacterials, not as fun as a topic, but still really important. So why are antibacterials so dangerous? It's because they do the same thing. Think about it. They kill bacteria. You put them on your body. Guess what they're gonna do when they go inside your body? And do you think that putting antibacterial lotion on your hands is not gonna absorb right in through your skin? Well, that's what your skin does. Things absorb through your skin. Your skin is porous and it goes both ways. You need to be able to breathe through your skin. So your skin also sucks in things that you put on. So when you're putting on an antibacterial lotion every day, maybe 3-4 times a day, because everybody's sneezing, everybody touched things, what you're doing is you are killing your own microbiome. Again, you're killing those about 3 pounds and I don't know how many millions or billions of bacteria in your belly that are actually keeping you alive and healthy. So you think that you're just killing the little virus that is, coming by because the lady over there sneezed. But in reality, when you're using antibacterial soap, lotion, spray, wipes on your car at the supermarket, the one who dies first is your gut. Food for thought. And killing the beneficial bacteria we need on your skin. Great point, Mary. Thank you. That's a great one. Yes. Because our skin is host of bacteria as well, especially our mucous membranes. We have a lot of bacteria in our nose, in our mouth, in our ears, even our eyes, and they keep us healthy. They are the ones that sometimes compete with the intruders for territory, but because they are symbiotic to us, they help us, stay healthy. And we want that bacteria to be alive and healthy because we have co-evolved with them for billions of years. Bacteria were here long before we were. So when we came about as humans, we co-evolved together with the bacteria. And in fact, we're more bacteria than human. If you count the number of cells, I think they outnumber our human cells 3-1. So the bacteria that live inside and around us, they outnumber our human cells 3-1. So killing them is killing literally ourselves. So please don't use that stuff. What is the active ingredient? Triclosan also causes cancer. Do your research. I know that there is a lot of propaganda about, using the antibacterial everything, but that's exactly what it is. It's propaganda. And it's not designed to keep you healthy. It's a very narrow focus and a very close-minded kind of approach to one thing and completely ignoring the holistic picture, the holistic view of the human being on our planet. So, and think about all the residue, all this antibacterial stuff, where is it going? What does it do in the environment? Have you thought that through? I don't think sometimes as human we really sit and think things through, because we want to believe what we are told by the television or by the doctor, thinking that they have our best interests in mind, which unfortunately is not always true. The doctor means well, but again, he's thinking a very narrow focus. So we want to be able to expand our view and think holistically. And that is, you know, as a holistic practitioner, this is why I kind of proud myself to call myself a holistic practitioner, because I try to look at all aspects of the human, of your situation, of your health situation, you know, and environmental situation. So have a broader view that helps us be healthy within our environment. We can't live under a glass bell. So before we go to the last part of this topic today, which is what kind of herbs or supplements we can use to help during flu season, do you have any questions or anything else to chime in? I love your comments. Thank you so much for commenting. It's great to have this conversation together. I really don't want to be here just having a monologue. This is very much, you know, a topic of discussion that I can bring to you so that we can like have questions, have answers, and I can bring my experience, clinical experience and nutrition experience to you to help you walk it better, you know, and be in a better way in your keto experience or just in your health experience. So hopefully you are on the keto path and the keto lifestyle. And as you know, I am a keto nutritionist. I've been using this diet for like 5 years now, so I know a lot about it. All right, no questions, and please feel free to say where you're where you're watching from, and yeah, and say hello. It's always nice to hear. So the last part of the call is about support. I use a lot of herbal support. And what has keto done for you? Let's leave that for the end, Susan. But you can find my personal story on my blog. It's thenourishcaveman.com. There is an about page where I go kind of into detail about that. And also in a lot of my videos, I'll give you a little summary at the end. So what would I recommend to start supporting your immune system come winter? So the first thing a lot of people know is echinacea. Echinacea, what you don't know about is that it doesn't work for acute situations. So you can't just get sick and pound a bunch of echinacea and expect to get better or that to help with your flu virus. Echinacea only works when taken at least for a month in advance. So it will build a really strong, good immune system, but you need to start taking it now so that you are preventing the viruses from attacking. There are different kinds of echinacea. I would use an organic supplement as high potency, as pure as you get. I warn you, they're expensive. Echinacea, if it's expensive, that means it's good. If it's cheap, doubt it, because good echinacea is not cheap. So it's worth investing your money if you want it to be working. Another great herb is Eleuthero. I can't never pronounce that. Excuse me, foreigner over here. My poor English. And then brain holes. Sorry about that. And like I say, today I just got out of the car literally after driving for 9 hours and started the video. It's part of the digital nomad lifestyle. So something else you can do is do vitamin C therapy, which is great for prevention, but also when you actually start getting sick. So a lot of people have heard of a vitamin C flush. What I would recommend is doing something like 3 grams to 5 grams of vitamin C a day for the flush. You would get pure ascorbic acid powder and then take about 1,000 milligrams at a time. You can just put it in water, and it just mixes and dissolves right into your water, and you drink it. What you want to do when you get sick, the way you do that vitamin C flush, is by drinking about 1 gram every half an hour until you start to get a bowel movement. It will make your bowel run. When you start getting a loose bowel movement, almost like diarrhea, that's what you want. You want your body to completely flush. Then you can stop the 1 gram every half an hour at that point, and you want to do it again the next day for maybe 2 to 3 days. So you're flushing your system with vitamin C, which acts as an antiviral. In this way, the vitamin is not acting as a vitamin, it's acting as a drug. That's why it's okay to use ascorbic acid, which is not the whole vitamin C, it's just a part of the vitamin C. But we want it for a very specific effect, and in this case, it is a nutraceutical, so it's a chemically extracted part of the vitamin C. But again, we are using it as a drug for this flush. Even if it doesn't completely take away the flu, it will greatly reduce the length of your sickness and the severity of your symptoms. Another thing I would recommend also, if you do get sick, is do a coffee enema. I will probably do a video on coffee enemas. Believe it or not, I haven't done it yet, but I always talk about it. Sometimes when you just first getting sick and you do a coffee enema and you flush your gut, again, it's always about the gut here, the immune response. It might be soon enough and you want to knock out that virus and flush it out of yourself, and so not get sick. So we talked about echinacea. Oh yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention is colloidal silver. Colloidal silver I would not use for long periods of time because it does have antibacterial properties. So again, it can be something that for long periods of time will compromise your gut microbiome. So we want to use it just as that flu first hits. And you can spray it in your nose, and you can take it orally. There are a lot of really good brands, and you can just grab that at any health food store. Oh yeah, and I just remember my favorite thing for when I first start getting sick is Gao Maoling. You're like, what? What is that? Gao Maoling is a Chinese herb over the counter, and it's one of the very few over the counter supplements that I find that really works. So I'm going to put a link for you, and you can just get it at your health food store, or you can get it on Amazon. But Chinese herbs, they're little tiny pills. They're also called curing pills in Chinese medicine. Any of you who is familiar with Chinese medicine probably knows them. And you will take 9 little tiny pills every 3 hours, and they're amazing. They will knock out your flu, knock out your cold. You just have to take it at the first symptoms. And I would probably take that for 2 to 3 days maximum. And by then, if it's not gone away, you have progressed past the ability of that particular remedy to knock out your cold. All right. Well, my voice is going, and I think I cover all the topics for today. Thank you so much for being here. Please remember, if you like this information, if this was helpful for you, share it with your friends, share it with somebody who you think it might be beneficial for. And also subscribe to my page. You can subscribe to notices for the Nourished Caveman on Facebook so that you will be notified when I do a live video. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, same thing. If you hit the little bell, you will be notified if I post a video. So this will be reposted on YouTube. Also Instagram, and of course thenourished.com. And for those of you who need more help than just these little freebies, you can always reach out to me at vivica@thenourished.com. Send me an email or fill out my inquiry form on the blog if you want to work with me. And I will be very happy to help you in any way you can with your keto diet, your weight loss program, your hormone balancing, or bigger problem as well. I handle all kinds of severe conditions in my practice. Thank you so much for watching again. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm gonna go get in the shower now as I'm dripping sweat. So thank you from sweaty California, and I'll talk to you next week, and we will be talking about life after keto.